The other thing that we are going to talk about, staying in this world, is the X-Men. So the new X-Men is going to be recognizably different. I hope this story, I didn't read the story yet, and I hope it's not Kevin Feige saying this. I'm sure that it is. Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four opened this past weekend to $117.6 million domestically, the biggest opening for Marvel film this year. In terms of reviews, fans seem to be divided on whether it or Thunderbolts was the best MCU film this year. Count me as one of those people who are divided. I don't know yet. Certainly the latter got a lot of praise, with the film's director, Jake Schreier, having already been hired to work on the X-Men film for the MCU. Speaking with the playlist, okay, it's Jake Schreier. Nice. He was asked if the new X-Men film was recognizably different from what came before. He says this, guys. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But to be able to explore all the ideas that are inherent to that rich source material, but also at the scale inherent to the source material, it's like a very rare and fortunate opportunity. It's very exciting. What I can say, it's just inherently interesting and complex material. The core idea of what X-Men is involves complexity. It's an incredible opportunity, super interesting characters, and much internal conflict. These characters are wrestling with identity and place in the world that's inherently interesting and complex material. Before I finish the rest of that, I think you hear that quote, and I think if you're an X-Men fan, you're happy with that quote. That's somebody who understands X-Men, at least the way that I read that. But continuing on, Marvel Studios' chief Kevin Feige previously indicated that the new X-Men will be a much more youth-focused reboot in terms of casting, tone, and perspective. Before that, we're getting the return of the old-school X-Men in the two Avengers films, which one of the returnees being Rebecca Romijn as Mystique. The actress was at Comic-Con this weekend promoting Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where she was asked about coming back to that role 2 decades later. She confirmed that she has shot most, but not all, of her scenes for Avengers Doomsday, and provided some thoughtful answers about taking ownership of the part at this time and personal impact it had on her. All right, the first thing, this is something I brought up the other day, and I saw this on, and again, I believe it was the New Rockstars that said this, so I want to make sure that I give them credit. Mike, I thought it was an interesting theory. The theory was essentially, and everybody here has seen Thunderbolts, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the end of Thunderbolts, when you see the Fantastic Four ship in the Doomsday clip by the Russos, which apparently will be in the movie, what the New Rockstars have, I guess, speculated, which I happen to agree with, is that the Fantastic Four are on their mission to other multiverses to save whoever they can. And their first stop is not the 616. Their first stop is the X-Men universe, and they save the X-Men from the world that we know, whether it's whoever it's going to be. And that's who's going to, whether it's Alan Cumming and the rest of them are going to be in that ship. And then they take them to 616. Do you think that theory is holds water?
Perhaps. I'm still, again, I spent kind of this whole weekend with the guys talking this stuff and trying to figure out what we think. I don't understand the X-Men that we're going to be getting, and that the way that they picked. Like, I don't even know how Alan Cumming is in this, because we've seen the future of that X-Men universe. He's not around. Like, dude, I'm like, I'm kind of like befuddled here. I mean, the fact that we're putting Channing Tatum in there, whose only reason with being the Deadpool Wolverine was a meta joke,
right? And
he was a funny character. So now we're going to put him in this world-ending event. We're going to take him seriously. Oh, but let me guess, he's not that version. He's another version from this world where he's a serious Gambit. He's not the jokey Gambit. He's going to be the serious Gambit. I'm like, oh, Christ. Well, my head's hurting.
I feel like kind of the opposite of Mike on this one.
Okay.
I love like that you're even asking this question, Kristian. I think that's exactly why we had that scene at the end of Thunderbolts, and it's also why we have the scene that we have at the end of Fantastic Four.
Sure.
To theorize. Mm-hmm. I think Marvel is doing a good job of getting you really excited about the future and having conversations again with people. Ooh, who's on the ship?
Right.
What year is this ship?
Right.
Is the ship actually going where we think it's going? Where has the ship been? Could the ship not even have our Fantastic Four on it?
Right.
Like, there's so many questions. Have they lent their ship out? Are the Fantastic Four in trouble? Like, there's so many different ways to theorize. And I kind of think that's what a post-credit sequence or scene does well, is when it makes us talk about it and
That's
wonder what is it that we're getting. And more specifically with what you're talking about with the X-Men, Mikey, I think that I love the X-Men. I think all three of us do, but I would be excited to see what Channing Tatum was able to do with a little bit of a different version. I think it'd be cool to have Alan Cummings. I think that picking up who we liked and finding ways to do it, that's the whole point of having a multiverse.
Right.
So I look forward to having multiple versions all be there. The X-Men are quirky. That's not the only thing they are, but they're a little bit quirky. And I think it's really cool to pick and pull out of who we want.
See, I guess if I would have that sentiment if this was 6 years ago, but we've seen for the past 5 years post-credit scenes that have done nothing.
Right.
Yes, we have.
What's his name? Harry Styles popping up as Star Fox.
Right.
Audience loses their mind. Brett Feldstein is Hercules.
Right.
You're like, okay, and like every one of those X-Men movies gave us
Goldstein.
All right. I know you all heard of Viagra or Cialis, maybe even tried them. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, I got it. Rougiette Ready. If the usual pill isn't doing the trick, Rougiette Ready, it could be the answer. It's a 3-in-1 formula. It dissolves under your tongue, absorbs fast. You'll be ready in just 15 minutes on average, not hours, and effects can last up to 36 hours. That means that you're going to stay confident, you're going to stay present, and in control when the moment is right. Getting started is super simple. Rougiette connects you with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door. Connect with a provider at rougiette.com/Christian to see if a Rougiette-ready prescription is right for you. You can get the code Christian to get 15% off today. Rougiette.com/Christian. Use that promo code Christian to get 15% off today. Head on over to rougiette.com/Christian. Use that code Christian to get 15% off today. Use the code to support the show, and so Rougiette knows that we sent you. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information.
Okay. Every one of them gives us X-Men. We had a good ending. We had the ending where Wolverine saves the X-Men.
Different Jew.
Okay. I don't watch that show, so I don't know.
Okay.
We've got the X-Men. The X-Men had an ending. They had an ending where Wolverine saved everyone. Scott and Jean are together.
Right.
Well, we don't happy. And then we had Logan. We had Professor X dying. Are we gonna have Professor X dying yet again? He's died five times in this world.
I think they all die. I think all these
X-Men. They've died already.
No, but
it doesn't matter. It loses the stakes when we're invested over a character. When Professor X and Logan in that movie, and why it's one of the best comic movies of all time, people will argue. Because we fell in love with those characters for 10 years and they died.
I know, but the difference is, and I don't disagree, that it's like if you know that everybody can come back, it loses that oomph. I don't disagree.
And so you're saying that they're all going to die in this. Who's to say that Franklin Richards is not going to snap his finger and bring them back again?
Right. They've got to make it definitively that you've got to understand that nobody can come back. And Roga had an interesting theory, which when he said it, I was like, that could make sense because again, another one of these things that I saw online that I think could make sense as far as how they explain the Downey of it is that traditionally in the comics, I guess Doom was able to steal bodies and jump into bodies and things. So if he steals a version of Stark and that way is able to, manipulate people because of this beloved figure. Roka's thing that he said at the end, because they're going to keep Downey around, was that at the end of Secret Wars, that they actually have a variant of Tony Stark battle Doctor Doom. And is that too much?
I think the way it would work best is if he is a variant of Tony Stark. His name is Tony Stark. And if you watch, I think it's Age of Ultron. The reason he created Ultron is we want to create a suit of armor around the world. So what if this version becomes Doctor Doom, realizing that the only way I'm going to save this Earth is if I protect it, I take over. And it leads into the fact of how Tony Stark thinks. So I think he's just Tony Stark that's called Victor Von Doom. That's his variant. If they do some stuff where it's like, I happen to look like Tony Stark, so I'm going to use that to manipulate the heroes, but I'm really Victor Von Doom, pulls a face mask. I think they got to keep it simple.
You want that or you don't want that?
No, I don't want that. I don't want him as Doom at all. I think it's...
Wow.
Yeah, too late now.
All right, so you're looking at Fantastic Four, and they do the Latveria thing. He was there, so clearly Doom is there. You can't have Victor Von Doom in that world that they were in, because if that was the case, he would have absolutely shown up to help them defeat Galactus, because he would have said, Reed, you're stupid. You're not smart enough to do this. I'm smart enough. Doom is not on that world. If there's any way if they're going to try and honor the comic of what Dr. Doom is, he is not on that Earth 828 at all. He can't be.
So
Right.
what
Like
do you
he
think
Just
about-
from what they did.
like
what
he
do you
already
think
left.
about the post credits?
I think that's a Doom from a different Earth that came there.
Okay.
I love
Because
that.
if Sue turns around and goes, Doom, what are you doing here? Then you have to go, why weren't you there that entire movie trying to defeat Galactus?
Or
Because you
for
would have
8 years.
absolutely.
Or for the
Right.
8 years that the Fantastic Four have been the Fantastic Four. I agree with
Right.
you.
Yeah. So he's from a different world. He's there. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I have no idea.
Do you have any thoughts, Ron? No, that's it.
I think that the point is it's cool that we're talking about it. For a long time, I didn't feel like there was much to talk about. I'm with you, Mike, going back a little bit. The Harry Styles stuff and whatever, it's not just with Marvel. Joe Manganiello, right? Like I'm annoyed as crap by all these post-credit scenes that never culminated in anything. I don't think that's what's happening here. It would be asinine to believe that what happened at the end of Thunderbolts and what happens at the end of Fantastic Four in the post-credits are things that we never see again.
Oh, I agree with you. 100%, Rox.
We know those are going somewhere. So
yeah.
I'm just excited to have post-credit scenes that we're going to see and are going to be relevant, as opposed to what we've gotten for so many years from both camps, which is like you're introducing new characters and we're never seeing them again.
As far as X-Men go, though, because you're going to have, I think by the end of Secret War, by the end of Doomsday, these X-Men, I think they're going to be off the table, or they might just show up again in Secret Wars, but they have to introduce at least some of these new X-Men in Secret Wars, which will then lead us into it. And that's ultimately what this is about. What do we make of the comments of Jake Schreier? Are we all on board with him as director?
Well, I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on this, Kristian, because you were the one who stopped and said, if you're an X-Men fan, then you like these comments, which I want to know why you thought that.
I thought he just got it. I think from that explanation, I think, oh, this is a guy who understands the core definition of what the X-Men are all about. And, and clearly from Thunderbolts, the guy's good at team building. He's also good at team building with people who have dark issues. He's people who are misfits. He gets it. I think he understands. And it wasn't just a generic answer. It was, no. He's thought about this. This is layered. We're going to get a layered X-Men. You have to have the X-Men be layered because these are going to be the future of the MCU moving forward.
I disagree. I think that he is a great person for this property. I thought this answer was not well crafted. It reminded me of this scene in Friends where Joey's trying to write like a wedding speech, and he's like, and having and holding and holding and loving and to love and to have, because he was like, these characters are complex, and with such complexity, there is complexness. And the thing about it is they're not easy because they are, in fact, complex.
Now say it in Sydney Sweeney's voice.
I know.
He was talking but not saying anything.
Yeah, it did feel like that to me, Mike. Like, I don't think that this has any merit to how he's going to do with this property. But no crap, dog. The X-Men are complex. I think that you could throw a rock and anybody in the room would say that. It didn't give me, and I'm not trying to shred him. I just think he was kind of vamping like these characters are complex. It's like,
I think to his point, like he did Thunderbolts, and those were some incredibly well characterized people. They weren't caricatures. They were people with problems and trauma. That should be enough to go, yeah, this guy, of everyone we've seen in the X-Men universe or in the MCU as far as directors, this guy, his resume speaks for itself. They're in good hands.
100%, Mike. And I really feel like they are in good hands. Just nothing about this comment made me feel like you got it, dude.
I think I think he's also feeling like I can't say anything.
Right.
Because I got Feige over my shoulder and I don't want to
100%.
give it away. So I'm just going to talk with the thoughts and holding the characters that they are characteristic of.
As much as I can say.
Characters.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you guys think about it? Put your thoughts in there. Let us know about the X-Men approach and everything regarding the MCU, Doom, all that. Put your thoughts in there.